today is all about making that Google site so that we can then start to actually create some content. It may be something that you don't choose to use in a public way. So if I start sharing my screen again, and I'll share my entire screen. So the Techie Tea Party website, which I'm sure everyone has been on and you love it as much as I love it. This is a Google site. So this is a public website that I've made on Google Sites. This is what you can do if you want to make a published site that parents could access, students can access, or if you want it to be a resource that you share with the wider school community. So it may be something that you do for an enterprise topic or something like that. This is a great place for sharing. As you can see, I've put in a video, I've included a calendar, I've also got a document in here. Well, this is a picture of it because I didn't want the whole document. I've got Twitter on here as well, and I've got a banner at the bottom. You may have seen that there's, there's different pages. We've got different menus of pages. As you know, I love emojis. So of course there's emojis all the way through this website as well. So this is the public way that we can use a Google site. Another way, which I've used a lot, so in my last job I worked up in Aberdeen, and I worked with a lot of schools there creating profiles for P7 to S1 transitions. And this is a great way of having students capture all their skills, as you saw, rather than relying, I know when I was a primary 7 teacher, they had to write an awful lot. So rather than relying on the literacy skills, we could then have videos as evidence. We could share a video of a student doing their sport rather than having to write a paragraph about a sport that they did outside of school. We could include pictures quite easily, and then these could be shared with the secondary school. Now, tomorrow, I'll talk a bit more about that side of things, but today we're going to get started with creating our site. I'll show you behind the scenes of my one before we get started, just so you can see what it looks like once it's a bit more populated. If I just click on this edit button, as I have edit access. So you'll see I can come into this easily. I can click on text boxes. That's all these are. Think of it like our Google Slides, where we've got text boxes and I've got the different pictures. So it's very much like our Google Slides we made with that YouTube video going in, and text boxes. It's just this is structured as we're probably mostly familiar with different websites. So you can scroll through it and we've got different sections. Down this right hand side is our menu. And this is where, if I zoom in slightly, just so you can see it a bit more clearly, we've got the option to insert things into our document. So we can then insert text boxes, images, we can embed things. And that's how I got the YouTube videos, and I'll show you that tomorrow. And we can also pop things in from our Google Drive. So any documents that you have, or if the students want to share things, they can put them in from their Google Drive. So this is very easy to use, and you will learn that over the course of the next couple of days. It comes with pre-made layouts, so you don't have to worry about, I mean, I started using sites before there were layouts. So I'm very much in the habit of resizing boxes myself, rather than using these to help me. And then we've got this massive menu of things that we can put into our website. Now this grows constantly, but the main ones I use are the YouTube, calendar. If you're a geography teacher or you're looking at your local community as a topic this term, perhaps in primary, you can put in maps. And then we've got the doc slides and our familiar tools from our Google suite at the bottom here. I can then also put in different pages. So this is how I've got these menus going along the top. These are all my different pages. And then I can change the theme. So right now I've got it set on this art, I think it's impressions, the theme I've got. I could change that quite easily by going on, just clicking on them, and you'll see it changes it, and I can preview that. That's not going to change it on the published website because I still need to click that publish button. This is where this is different from our other Google tools, because if you do want to make some changes public and publish them, you need to push a button to do that rather than it doing it automatically. So it does mean we can work behind the scenes, and our viewers of the website won't see it until you push that button. Now, what I'm going to do, and I'd encourage you to follow along and do the same, is I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to create a new Google site. Now, as always, I'm going to use the shortcut of site.new. So as we do with our other things, with our form.new, doc.new, slide.new, I'm going to use site.new. And this will open up a blank Google site for me to work on. So you'll see here, it's always set to this grey theme now. It's not my favourite one, not going to lie to you there. And this is where we can get started. So as you saw before, this is my one. This is it with a lot of stuff on it. So it's useful for you to see it with more things on it. But initially, this is how it started. But it's very straightforward to do. It's not something for us to be worried about because right now, no one else bar yourself can see this. It's not until we go to share this with others, and that's going to be part of tomorrow. When we go to share this with other people, will they then see what you have done? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give my site a name. So the first page is a title. Now this title here can quite simply be welcome, because it doesn't have to be the name of your website on this first page. It can be that you put the website name in this top left-hand corner. So I'm going to do TTP at 6, just so that I know what day I made the site, and it means I'll know to come back to this one tomorrow. And you'll notice at the top here, it's named the file. So in my Google Drive, it now has that same name. So that's, there, I am distracted. There's a wasp on the outside of my window right now, so I'm seeing it. So yeah, so that is the name of the website here. And then that is my welcome page. Now I can start to change how I want this to look. So I can start putting in layouts. I don't have to put in any content yet, but I could just think this is what I want my website to look like. So first thing I'll do is I'll drag some of these layouts over. And you'll see this makes it really lovely. And I can simply click on this and then it will allow me. So clicking on that plus sign, it helps me with uploading. So it will give me a menu for me to upload. So I could select an image. And as always, we get that Google image search. So as we know, it's normally a puppy from me. So I'll pop in a wee puppy. And we can change this at any point. So we can go back and change that. Now I'm going to go into this one and I'll do another picture. And this just means that it helps me with how the site may look in the end. So I'm thinking, what were some, Gus is getting a shed delivered. So I'm going to pop shed. And I'll get this cool one because this is clearly the best shed that you can get. It's got wheels. So yeah. I've got that there, and then I can add some text so I can start to structure this for myself. That's not a puppy, that is a shed. And we can go through it like that. How many days till puppy arrives? 15 days till the puppy arrives. Not that I'm counting. So yes, we have our puppy, we have shed. That can be any text you want. So if you want this to be a site for your class, you could have it that this is something to do with a literacy topic, or it can just be that one space where you keep all of your materials together. Then on your Google Classroom, like I've done, I could post in the stream. So you could then post in the stream. I know it was ages ago now that I posted the Techie Tea Party website, but I'll do that now. So I get the website address. This is once it's published, and we will cover this more tomorrow. But it now means that I can go into my classwork, I can create a material, and then this is just where those students can come back to for all of their resources. So they can all be in one place, or it may even be that you, if you are doing a lot of videos and video guides, you host them in this one place. And I'll pop this, I'll just post this now. And so it may be like myself, where you've got all the webinar recordings. You may have a pile of videos that you've made that you want to share with your class. You can then keep them in one place rather than having to post a video at a time. And they can just come back to it and go, right, that was, you know, as a primary teacher, I would likely have my numeracy guides, so that if I'm wanting to talk through methods for multiplication or division, I could have all my videos in that one place for my students to go to and say, oh, that's for this task. I'll watch Miss Mackay's video. What I'm now going to show you is the pages. So we can start to add our pages. Now you can add and take away pages as you go and as the site works. And you may find that some things work more than others. I know that on the Tech Tea Party website, I've got analytics going on my one, so it's slightly different, but I can go into more, and I know that people aren't using that. So I can then maybe consider deleting that page because the users aren't using that page at all. And so I can now go into pages. So this is down the right-hand side, and I can use this add button at the bottom. If I hover over it, you can link to another page. So you can have it that is just a quick link to a document or another website, or we can add a new page. So I'm going to add a new page, and I'm going to name this page resources. And you'll see right away, we've got our home and resources. So that's now open straight away. And I can now start changing this website up. So I'm going to go into this insert button again. And this time I'm going to try and use something different. So I'm going to put in a map. And I'm just going to search for my old city of Aberdeen. And then I'll select that. So that will go in, and you'll see how easy that was. I simply selected map, typed in the place, or you have access to My Maps, or you can drop a place mark yourself. I could have the satellite version. I could get my hometown of Banff, and I can pop that in as well. So now we've got different options, and we can drag and drop. So you'll see how I'm moving these quite easily round about, and there's these lovely grid lines that help us to know where it's going to go. If I have it going here, it will join on underneath. If I have it going to the side, you'll see exactly where it's going to go. Underneath, I can make it go anywhere, or this big solid line will put it in a separate area so that it doesn't snap together. So basically, if you have it going here, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and it snaps together, and then they become one thing, like a grouped object in a Google Doc or in Word, for example, that we're used to, and they move together. If that does happen when you're editing it, simply double click, and then it will select that one on its own to move it. It did take me a while to figure that one out. I'm just having a quick read. So yeah, so if you have lots of videos, so I'm just seeing someone said if the kids have sent videos of them reading poems, could this be a way of sharing them with the class? Yes. And what we can do, and I'll cover this tomorrow morning, is when it comes to sharing with others, you can specify who gets to see it when it's published. So that's this bit here. So you can have it so that anyone at EduBuzz, but we could change that to specific people. So if it was just your one class, so as a primary teacher, if you only wanted to share it with your own class, you could then save, go on to this pencil, and then can view when published. And that's where you could type in your class email addresses so that only your class can access it. I'll go over that in more detail tomorrow. And my Google Classroom getting too full of helpful resources. Yes, so I would say if you do have a lot of resources, this will allow you to actually start to structure them. So you could go, right, this is a literacy resource, I'll pop that on the site. And then it means that they know where to go to. They can then use this and pop it in their favorites on their browsers at home, or they can pin it on if it's on their phones. So they can quickly access your guides if you are making lots of these things as a teacher, and they have one space to go to rather than having to scroll through your classroom. Because as we know, as we use Classroom more and more, it's probably becoming a little bit full and a bit harder for your students to navigate. But if this site is too much for you, you could always have a topic in Classroom of guides or resources to keep them all in that one place so that parents or students can go and find them in there. If you have it the wrong structure format, so if you don't like the layout, what you can do is hover over the left-hand side and there's a bin. You can just bin that and that will take it away. There is always the undo that we can undo it, but if you've done a few things since you've done that layout, it maybe won't bin it. It won't undo that, but certainly using that bin tool is quite useful. Just to go over your instructions from the Google site for today. So what to do is just to create a new site using the shortcut site.new. Design the website and make the home page. So what this really is just play and try all those buttons. That's how I got used to it. I honestly pushed every button and hoped it worked, or it did something at least. And try all of these. So collapsible text is something that I've not really used. So I can go type in a title. Now, when I preview it, so this is quite a useful thing as well. Now, this used to be an I, so this used to be the same as forms, and it was far easier for me to explain. But now the preview button is this, it's a laptop and a phone together side by side. And you'll see them, if we hover over any of the tools in Google, it will give you a little caption or a little word to tell you what that button does. So this is preview. If I click on preview, it lets me see what this website will look like. And it will then, if I click on these buttons along the bottom, it shows me how it looks on a phone. So on a phone, this is what it will look like. You'll see it squishes it all in. On a tablet, slightly different. And this is the tablet on the landscape view. So it is slightly different in that way. And then on a large screen, so a laptop, desktop type screen. So you can see how it looks. And I know for doing the Techie Tea Party, I just come into the edit part of this, just so that you can see how that looks. So when I was designing this, when it came to the webinar recordings in particular, I was wondering what it would look like. So making sure that when people scroll through, it stays in order. And that's why it's in different places for having, if I come back out of this, rather than having the videos and stuff snapped together, you'll see this line going across, and that means that they're in a separate section. I can then drag that and move that about, move those together as a section rather than having them snap to this other bit and stuck, because then it wouldn't look the same on the mobile. And let's come back into our one here. And you can go through this website as your user would do. So I would go through, click on any button, and if that comes up and looks a bit blank, then I know I need to go back and sort that. Sometimes when we add in pages, we can then add subpages as well. So that's how in the Techie Tea Party, we get these menus. So I can make this resources page. If I click and drag on this, I can drop it on top of home, and you'll see how it indents slightly. And that's now given me this little drop-down menu on my website. You can't control the orientation of the page. It will be in landscape at all times when you preview. It's just as people use it. It'll probably be more of a mobile look to it on a tablet if it is going to be in the portrait way. And creating a copy, or can you back it up by creating a copy or something? You'll probably go over that. Yes, probably go over that tomorrow. But yes, you can go and make a copy. So certainly what happens, I'll show you what happens if I go to publish something on Techie Tea Party. So if I show you just adding text, so Monday, do this as I do normally, Monday the 5th. So it wasn't Monday the 5th because I didn't do one on Monday, did I? So let's just make sure it should be in green. Tuesday the 5th of May is not going in green for some bizarre reason. Why are you going in green? Anyway, once you've done that, when I click publish, it will compare side by side what has been changed. So I can click through, you'll see all the changes down the side, and you can compare. You don't have to publish straight away. So I'm not going to publish that yet. And certainly you can go into these 3 dots and you can duplicate the site. So it's not the same as making a copy, but you can duplicate the site so that does make a copy of it. You cannot, so this is something for you as well, you cannot share a site in Google Classroom and make a copy for each student. If you can, that's a new update, but certainly it's never been something that's been possible. So at that point, this is where if you do want students to have their own copies right now, I would duplicate the site, name it with your student's name, and then share it with them so that they can edit the site. So yes, you can't make a copy for each student, and that's just the way the Google Sites work out. If we go to the site's homepage, so to get to the site's main page, you may have seen this for slides, etc., where you've got all of your sites that you've created or all your slides. So if I go into sites, and it's this funny icon, it looks doesn't really fit in with all the other ones. When you click on that, you will get this as your home screen. Now, this is the old Google Sites. So we need to click on new Google Sites to get there, and they really need to take out this part of it. So you then just go straight to new Google Sites, and this is where it looks far more modern, and you'll see that it's got all of the sites that I've made. And now it does have different options for making new sites using templates as well. I'm not sure if it's maybe got them on this yet. Doesn't seem to have it on here. Let's see. Not going to do it for me. So there are templates. Now my one seems to have gone backwards and doesn't have these options anymore. So yeah, there should be templates because I've got this student profile example, or that's not even my one. Yeah, there are templates coming to Google Sites. If I just show you what is coming on this other account of mine. So here we go. So this will eventually be coming to EduBuzz. It's not there yet. So it's probably just something that we need to be wary that this might appear. So I went to sites.google.com on my other account that's just a bit further ahead. So this is how I keep up to date with all the updates, is by using this account. You'll see rather than it going to the old Google Sites, it went straight to the new one. And now along the top, I have got these templates. Now, unfortunately, we don't have those. That would be a massive time saver. And you have templates for creating a site for your class. You have templates for student profiles and portfolios, for professional portfolios. So if you're a secondary teacher thinking of CVs, DYW, showing off skills for Skills Development Scotland work and My World of Work, fantastic things for this. So the class ones, and we can make all of this in sites ourselves, but this is just a time saver. If I come into this, you'll see it has the template and it helps me with creating it. This will come to EduBuzz soon. It is just looking at the rollout, and it does sometimes take a couple of weeks to get to EduBuzz. But certainly this has been released. It's just the way Google for Education works. It's a bit of a slow rollout in some cases. So, and we've also got new banners and stuff, but that hasn't quite got to EduBuzz yet. So you'll see it does help me with the layout. I can just replace these pictures, and that that's going to look quite smart because you've used the template already. So how are you getting on with creating your own one? Please just let me know. It is, honestly, it's just worth playing about with it. It's not something that I think you want me to go through and show this button does this, because if you just play with it, and at the end of the day, if you don't want to use this site, we can delete it from our Google Drive. It's not something that you have to worry about, oh, this will be published at some point, because no one else but you can see it until we hit these buttons at the top here. Thinking of setting up a site per senior phase class rather than a classroom to keep all resources tidy. Keen to have a play. Yes, definitely give that a go. I've used it with the end of BGE, so S3 students moving into senior phase, and just to start their My World of Work profiles, and it's certainly a great way of organising it. But if you are going to use it for just tidying up resources, I would say just create it, start making that site, start putting your resources into it. Tomorrow I'll explain some of the key things of the sharing of those resources, because we do need to make sure some settings are put in place before we can publish the site and people can view it. Honestly, not time consuming at all. So the Techie Tea Party site, as complex as this is, I did in a day. And that was just, I had the bare structure of the site, but I went in, did all the text, put all the content in, made the calendar and everything, and it honestly didn't take much time. It's just knowing what you want to put in there, and no limits. No, as always with Google for education, you've got unlimited storage, so as many sites as you want to have. Just make sure that you preview it and you test how it will look for your user. So when it came to this, I thought, right, it's annoying that we've got to scroll through this menu. Is everyone going to go down to Gmail and Calendar? And tell you no, because I look at the analytics I have. Now, you won't have this set up for your one, but I made it so that I could see how many people were using it. But just make sure that you look through it and go, is this easy for me to use? Will people know to look there, or do I need to tell them? So at all your drop-down menus, the top button is also a page. So just make sure you've got stuff there. So I have buttons there linking to the other pages, and I've got some of the information duplicated. Yeah, so if you insert a picture, good question about pictures. If I come back to the home page about cropping them, if you double click on the picture, one thing you can do is zoom in and out so it fits, or you can crop. And then at that point, we can crop the image. It's probably not going to work so well. Other little quick tip, you'll notice I'm getting this wheel. That's double clicking on the mouse. So if I double click, I get this little wheel tool. This is my time saver. So if you double click, you get this little tool that allows you to quickly put in text. Now, once you get to the point like I am of using these quite a lot, if you triple click, you get a text box, because that center button is the text box. So that's how I do them quite quickly. I simply triple click and I get a text box, but double click and then you can choose the one that you want. That's just, I have been using these for, I think, for just 2 years now. Two, maybe 3. Not too long compared to other things within G Suite. It's always something I avoided. And this is where I can put in a picture quickly. So I'll put in, let's see, I will put in a picture of Edinburgh. This is where my creative brain is not working today. And I'll pop this picture in. So this goes in, but I can stretch this to fit. I can shrink. I can then also crop the picture. And then just to do that is simply by zooming in and out, to be honest. It doesn't do much else. It doesn't allow you to do the same cropping that you could do in other tools. And yes, so much better than the old sites. I know the old sites were used quite heavily for profiling and Eclosian. And how do you change the name of a page you've created? So in Pages, down the right-hand side, if you double click on the name of it, it will highlight, and then you can change that to anything that you want. So as you add new pages, you can give it a quick name, or you can just do page 1, 2, 3, and then go back and name them as you want to use them. And as always, we can click and drag these so that it goes into the drop-down menu. Or we can click on the 3 at the side, and then we can add subpage. So we can click on these 3 dots, the meatballs, click on those, and then add subpage as well. So I can pop in another site there, and you'll see that goes underneath in that same page rather than at the side. Any other questions, pop them in the chat. But we will go over adding content, so adding documents, videos, all of that tomorrow. So the great thing to do before tomorrow is just have that skeleton of your site ready. Follow those instructions on the classroom. Adding a contributor to the website is by going to that share with others or share button. It looks like that add person sign that we have in Google Classroom. It's the same icon. And then to add a contributor, so add someone who can edit, you can simply go into that invite people. I'll do it in my test site, so there's no one else there. So initially it'll look like this. You can invite people. So you can invite me if you just want me to look at the site, and certainly if you've got any questions, add me as an editor as well, and then I can help you in any way that you need. So just add me. So do that in the usual way of typing in the email address and then send, and then that will add somebody as a contributor, or it could be your stage partner, it could be the people from your faculty in a secondary school, if you're creating one space for all of your resources. So as a faculty, you can easily create this for all of English, have all your English resources for science, maths, have all your how-to videos, PE as well, have that created so that you can then have all of that content in one place. Then you can share that with your classrooms as need be, rather than having to be in each other's classrooms all the time to get those resources. I'm just going to stop recording as there's not many more questions coming through, but as always at this